Welcome, friends. I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And today I have a video for you called John Bolton's Scorpionic Sting, and it'll be a two-part video. So this is going to cover John Bolton's chart and his book release, okay? Because I think this is really important. And if you have been paying attention to the news, which I'm sure you have, and if you've been watching my videos, you can see how everything is coordinating. So I think real quick, I'm actually going to pull up okay, there's his chart. So let's see what we have here. All right, so first of all, like you can see over here, this is John Bolton and his birthday and birthplace, but the time was unknown. So whenever the time is unknown, astrologers either use the sun in the first house or they use Aries as the first house. But I think that the sun in the first house is more accurate. So what I did was I picked a time that put the sun on the ascendant. So that's why I've chosen that time. It's, in some sense, it's arbitrary, but it's for the purpose of putting the sun in the first house, okay? So what you see here is that he has a Scorpio sun and a Scorpio Mercury and Scorpio South Node. So he has a lot of Scorpionic energy. And I think that, you know, when we look at anything we happen to know about John Bolton, I think that does make sense. But that's also interesting because if you think about the Scorpionic personality, there are the traits of Scorpio. And, you know, I need to explain really quickly that a lot of people might not understand that when you're reading a chart, the three most important things we look at are the sun, the ascendant, and the moon sign, because those three will most dramatically tell us about the person's personality. So sometimes a sun sign can be different than an ascendant sign, and so the personality may seem different than whatever the sun sign is. But I think we can see, I mean, he does seem to have a kind of Scorpionic personality. And one of the things that's very true about Scorpios is that they can be pretty deep and intense, and they tend to, you know, keep things close. You don't always know where you stand with them, but when they're ready to pull out that stinger, it is final. And it can actually be pretty intense, even a little bit scary. So I find that particularly interesting under the circumstances. So we're going to talk about that, okay? All right, so it's also interesting that he has a natal Mars in Sagittarius because Mars is in Sagittarius right now, transiting. So he's going to have a Mars return very soon. And we may look at that as well. And then he has Jupiter in Capricorn. So he recently had a Jupiter return in Capricorn. So that's interesting too. Which also means that Uranus is trining his natal Jupiter. And I'll pull up the chart and show you that. And then his North Node is over here. And when I saw that, knowing that Uranus was going to conjoin his North Node in Taurus, I knew I had to look at that. So we're going to look at that, okay? And then he has Uranus in Gemini at 29 degrees, and the transiting North Node is going to make a conjunction to his natal Uranus. So we're going to look at that too. And then he has the moon in Cancer, which means that he is going to have a full moon eclipse over his natal moon this summer. That's very interesting. Pluto in Leo at the top of his chart from the sun sign. So this is a solar 10th house of career and fame. It's all about power. It's also interesting that he has the retrograde because he has not normally been so as public as he has been since the time that he began working with Trump in Trump's cabinet. But because normally retrograde means you kind of work behind the scenes. And then he has Saturn in Virgo, which it means that he's very hardworking and precision matters to him. And it's conjunct his midheaven, which the midheaven can sometimes float outside the 10th house, and that tells you something about his career. But it's conjunct Saturn in Virgo. So take all the Saturnine personality traits, mix them with Virgo, which is very hardworking and very precise. Virgos can often be perfectionists because they're so detail oriented, and to them the facts do matter. So that's interesting to think about, Saturn in Virgo. And then he has Neptune and Venus in his solar 12th house. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick because there's something else I want to show you. Okay, I'm back. So let me go ahead and pull up what I wanted to show you, because this relates to what I was saying about the sun square Uranus, and then the moon, the new moon square Uranus. So there was the recordings of Donald Trump and Lev Parnas that have been revealed, and he so clearly knows Lev, so he's lying. You've probably seen this, but I can put in the link just so you can take the time to look at that. And then I guess since I'm up here, I just want to make a quick announcement that there's only 4 days left in my New Year special. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description box below and take advantage of that. Today's the 28th, so we'll have 28, 29, 30, and 31. So that's it, 4 days left. And also, if you need to, you can email me at admin@yvonnedavis.com. If you have questions about a reading, or if you've ordered a reading and haven't seen your receipt, you can just go ahead and email me at admin@yvonnedavis.com and we'll set your appointment. So the whole point here is that we saw the Saturn natal Venus opposition in Donald Trump's chart. That was the kickoff to the impeachment. And then we saw the square, the sun square Uranus and the new moon square Uranus, that told us that there was going to be a lot of shocking information. And I think there was one other article that I wanted to bring up because, I do think it's important to follow through on these things so that you can see that, okay, I've got that one. There was another one over here. Bolton says he raises alarm about Trump's favors in this book. And then I saw this other one here. Okay. Okay, GOP group taunts Donald Trump by driving President Pence billboard truck around DC. But I think the most important has to do with Lev Parnas and John Bolton. I think that's the Uranus square that we're seeing. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So, because I'm sure a lot of you are tracking that, but I wanted to make sure that I had made the connection between those planetary alignments that I predicted and then what's actually happening. So again, I think the Uranus square has mostly to do with Lev Parnas and John Bolton. Let's go back and look at John Bolton's chart again and the book release. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up. So this again is his natal chart, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up the book release. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so there's his natal chart. And also you can see that he has Chiron conjunct the sun as well. That's really interesting. So, and I did notice that Chiron was going to play an important role because you can see over here on the day of his book release, which is March 27th. I put it for midnight because you can, like, that is the technical release date and time. Booksellers can actually start selling at midnight of that day. So that's why I set it for midnight. But what's also interesting here is you see the sun conjunct Chiron. And this is all about wounding. And I think there is something really important here. Somehow he experienced a wounding. And I think in a way, this book has something, is sort of his revenge. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what that might mean. Now, here you see the nodes are still in Cancer Capricorn at the time of his book release, but I'm going to show you the next chart when they change signs, because it's making a very interesting conjunction in his chart. So let's see what else. At this point, we've got, of his book release, we've got Jupiter, Pluto, and Mars all together. That's really intense. I mean, Pluto conjunct Mars, that is about as intensely scorpionic as you can possibly get. And they're direct. And the interesting thing is that they're in Capricorn, because Capricorn is the ruler of government. And then the next thing I want to show you, again, I want to point to the Sun conjunct Chiron, because I think that it does speak to a wounding. And I think that certainly this book, there's something about it that is very revenge oriented. That's why I called it John Bolton's Scorpionic Sting. Because that's, you know, that's kind of the nature of Scorpio, is they keep their feelings close, but if they feel you have wronged them, they will pull out that stinger and they will just knock you out. You never see it coming, and it's harsh, it's brutal, and then they are done. But what else is interesting here at the time of his book release is that the moon is conjunct Uranus over the North Node in the 7th house of long-term meaningful relationships and open enemies. And so I think that also speaks to the revenge nature of this book. It will be shocking. And I'm not going to make any predictions about what's going to be said in that book. All I can say is it will be shocking. Shocking and surprising, because that is what Uranus is. And it's like it whips out like the scorpion's tail and stings. It's also like a lightning bolt, and it'll pull the rug out from under your feet. It is so shocking and surprising, and it's unpredictable. It comes out of nowhere. Even though we know that book is going to be released, I think that things will be revealed in that book that people are definitely not expecting. And I'm not going to make a prediction about it, because Uranus is the planet of unpredictability. Stuff will come out of the blue that nobody ever expected. And so that's all I can say about it. I can't speak to, other than the fact that I do think it's related to a wounding. And I do think there's going to be something very scorpionic with this Pluto-Mars conjunction. And I do think it's going to be incredibly shocking with this Uranus-Moon conjunction over his North Node in the 7th house of long-term meaningful relationships and open enemies. And then we're going to see what happens when the North Node moves over his Uranus, because here we have transiting Uranus on his natal North Node. Here we're going to have transiting North Node over his natal Uranus. And whenever you see that, you know something important is coming. And then the vertex here, vertex is fate. This point here, you can already see it's being hit by the vertex, transiting vertex. But the eclipse, the full moon eclipse this summer on June 21st is going to conjoin his natal moon and vertex in the 9th house, which rules publication. It rules publication and broadcasting. So I think some more information, I mean, well, obviously because the book's being released, you know, but I think also that something will come about with that full moon eclipse too, because it's hitting that point again. So let me go ahead and bring up the next chart, which is the North Node in Gemini, so you can see how that lands on his chart. All right, so here we have, they've moved into the next axis, which is Gemini Sagittarius. And you can see the North Node is moving into exact conjunction with his natal Uranus, which mimics this Uranus conjunct natal North Node. So there's more to come. The book in itself will be shocking and revenge oriented, but there's more to come. It's not going to be over just because that book got released. There's more to come. It's also interesting to note that Mercury is conjunct the Sun now in the house of long-term relationships and open enemies. And it's squaring Pluto in his 10th house of power. Yeah, I mean, this has revenge written all over it. Oh my goodness. Let's see what else we can glean from this chart. So the South Node is moving into conjunction with his Jupiter. The South Node is something to release, and Jupiter is all about truth. So I think there may be even more things revealed, you know, beyond what is told in the book. So yeah, there's a lot more to come beyond just the book. So, but I think that's all I can say based on these charts. So I'm going to do a part 2 that will take those same charts and I'll lay them on the charts of the United States, both the Declaration of Independence and the signing of the Constitution, because there's something that goes way, way beyond what we're seeing right now. So just to sum it up, starting on the 21st, we had Saturn opposite Trump's natal Saturn. That's when the impeachment trial started. Then we had the Sun square Uranus and the new moon square Uranus. We're having all this even more shocking information coming out about Lev Parnas and John Bolton. And then I think it was February 6th and 7th is when Saturn will oppose Trump's natal Venus. And so that's an important date, which I have done a video on. I can put the link up there for you. And then I also showed you all the Neptunian energy with the Republicans lying as they have their 3 days to give their evidence or whatever it is they're doing. Honestly, I can't watch it because I've heard everything they have to say. You know, it's like the same old lies over and over and over again. And it's either you believe it or you don't, you know. You're either okay with Trump committing a crime or you're not. You know, it's as simple as that. They're not presenting any new arguments. It's just the same old lies and cover up. So so we're going to look forward to that Saturn opposition to Trump's natal Venus, and then John Bolton's book release, and also see what else emerges from these revelations of Lev Parnas and John Bolton. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close, but like I said, there is a part 2 where I'm going to take that book release and I'm going to lay that chart on top of the 2 U.S. charts, Declaration of Independence, Signing of Constitution. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, click like on this video, share with friends and family and on social media, and ring the bell for notifications, and leave your comments, and we'll just keep following this, and it's going to be exciting, very exciting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.